Hello everybody and welcome to my fighter DPS build. I was gonna wait until the mythic gear would have been released on console to make my builds, to make sure that I wouldn't have to change them every like 2 weeks. But I figured I would just release them because it's taking long. The mythic pieces are not even live on PC. So there we go. Even with the new pieces, the fighter DPS wouldn't change a lot, so I figured I would go for it. So this is a build that is mainly for Tomm and Zc. However, I will tell you what to change if you wanted to run cock with it. Don't question if I don't have the Undead ring on, because obviously you wouldn't use it in Tomm and Zc. So I will mention everything that you need to know to run any of these 3 trials. Okay, so starting off, which potions am I using? I'm not using Raptor, so I'm using the 10% sorbet. Using the 10% sorbet and Raptor at the same time does not make sense, as the Raptor will actually ruin your build if you're running the 10% sorbet. And that's why I'm not using Raptor at the moment. So as you can see, I'm only using Forger Box, that's Sunlord, Flask of Potency, and 10% sorbet. And let's give a look at my stats real quick so I can explain to you how I cap them. I have power on 80.7%. That will get capped with the Wrist Guards of Precipitation and the Manticore, also known as Runic Aura in the group, which is going to increase my power by 9.7% on, like, combined, those two things combined. So I'm going to be at 90% power. My accuracy is 89.8%, nothing to say about it. Combat advantage is 77.3, but we have acute senses 7.5% extra combat advantage, which will put us at 84.8%. And the tutor in a group for a trial will make us go to 89.8%. I rely on the tutor to cap combat advantage. If you don't want to, you can just switch stuff around, but in most trial groups, you should have a tutor, really. Then we go for crit strike. My crit strike is 76%. With the ribcage, it will go up to 88.5%. If there's a pally in the group, it will be capped thanks to their aura. But even if there's no pally, maybe you get the bonus from the Forger Box, or maybe you're just stuck at 88.5% crit. I'm sure you guys are not gonna cry. And the crit sev is 77.7, so with a ribcage and it's an extra 12.5, it's gonna be 90%. Now, how do I achieve these stats? Ability scores are strength and dexterity. The reach speed you get from charisma is very minimal, almost negligible, so I just skipped that and I went for the higher amount of stats given from dexterity, considering that Forte also gives you crit avoidance, which you wouldn't want. Then for the equipment, Alliance Soldier Helmet, 7.5% accuracy based on your stamina. Your stamina should always be 100% in trials, unless you're gonna die. If you're gonna die, then you can use your stamina, because lower damage is better than getting a death stack. But you would want to keep it at 100% all the time, ideally. This is the best piece for fighters, because Gorista Horns, yeah, they give you 10% crit, but how can you keep up Gorista Horns? It's really hard, especially with a fighter that has like long casting times, like Griffin, and the Atul is not super fast either. So especially in contents where you go in and you use artifacts right away, you will never have 10 stacks of Gorista Horns. And that's why I went for this piece, which also has higher item level and the best uptime. If you didn't have it, you could go with a Helm of the Skyblazer, but as I said, Helm of the Skyblazer will not work in Cock that much, and also it's not ideal in Zerial. So I mean, the Alliance Soldier Helmet is also easier to get, so why not? Ribcage is best in slot by far. Wrist Guards of Precipitation, same argument. Like there's nothing better than them, really. And then we have the feat. So that 7500's combat advantage, why am I not running, if I don't need any extra combat advantage from the Wasteland Wanderers, why am I not running Rusted Iron Leggings? So for a simple reason, you could see it this way. The Rusted Iron Leggings give me 5% damage, but it's additive. And it also gives me a debuff which I really never cared about, but it is to consider. Now these feet, they give me 7500's combat advantage, and you will be like, well, I'm capped on the combat advantage rating, what am I gonna do with it? So what you need to think about is you change your 7500's combat advantage rating onto accuracy. And that way you get fucking 76 K accuracy. Because I'm sure if you look at most tunes, they are going around with like 65K accuracy or something. That's the only way to get your accuracy so high. And since I didn't need more combat advantage percentage, that's the best way to increase my accuracy that I found. And the fact that the bonus relies on stamina doesn't really matter for us, because as I said, most of our bonuses rely on stamina. So if your stamina goes low, you're gonna lose a shit ton of damage either way. These boots don't have any debuffs like the Rusted Iron Leggings. They give you 7500 stats on top of actually useful stats in per se. Like they give you combat advantage and crit strike, just 2 lines above, as you could see, while the Rusted Iron Leggings give you defense and awareness and crit avoidance, my bad, and defense deflection from the Wasteland Wanderers. So you're not gaining only 7500 stats, you're gaining almost 8600s. And all of that can go into accuracy. And that's the reason why my accuracy is almost 10k higher than probably most tunes you've seen. And that it's going to be about 8.5% extra accuracy, which for me, like doing the math, is definitely better than the 5% additive damage coming from the Rusted Iron Leggings. Plus, these ones also have higher item level, so that also counts towards damage. For the artifact set, that's demo. You don't want to run the Metaller set because we don't have a lot of procs. We don't have a lot of ways to proc it, and it would also give us intelligence while most of our damage is physical, so we want strength instead. For the rings, we have the Band of Air and the Red Eyes Glare. The Red Eyes Glare, obviously, you wouldn't want to run the Queen Golden Opal ring because you would be losing a lot of stats. The extra damage is only on melee damage, which is not 100% of your damage. It will be like maybe 55-60% of your damage. And yeah, as I said, you would be losing a lot of stats too, so it's definitely not worth it. And if you were to go into Crown of Keldagon, you would have to run the Red Eye Stare, and in that case you would lose 5% power, so you would have to move 5k accuracy onto power to make up for that, because obviously you don't want to go in Crown with uncapped power, if that makes sense. That's it. Then moving on to the shirt, Corroded Shirt of the Dragon Cult for the 5% combat advantage, but also make sure it's the corroded one because it has 2 offensive stats. For the trousers, I'm using the velvet trousers. You can also use the velvet pants depending on what you need. And I'm using those over the Pants of the Clear Mind because the extra item level I don't really care about. Like, it's really close. I find the velvet trousers to be slightly better, but it's a very small edge. So either one you're gonna run, you're probably not gonna notice the difference. If you have like epic colors or something, you might not need the stats I'm getting from the pants, so you could run the other ones instead. For your main artifact, run whatever the group asks you to run if you have it, and ideally you would want to run Frozen to keep your 3 journal set for the Lost Mouth bonus, and also the demo for your set. So obviously either one. If you were to run a different artifact, then you could just do this. Your stats are gonna be fine. It's no big deal. And okay, let me switch back real quick. You've already seen what I use for my reinforcement kits. My main hand, oh yeah, talking about the weapons, I forgot about that. We're using heavy slash on the main hand because it's our main at-will on single target. On the offhand I have recharge speed and accuracy. If you were to run without Mastercraft, and Mastercraft are best in slot, if you were to run without them, you would use Mirage in Tomm, Lionheart in Zc, and in Crown of Caldegon. Now, for the enchantments. In the defensive ones, I'm using awareness. You could also have defense, either one. Do not go with crit avoidance or deflection, because that's not going to help you survive in a trial. Then we have the offensive enchantments. These ones could be different according to your build, if you're missing some like mythic insignias or mythic colors. So I'm just showing you which ones they are, but it could be whatever for you, whatever helps you cap your stats. I'm telling you how I did it, but you can find your own way to do it, and that will be fine too. And Garnet for the Forte, this one is actually mandatory. And then let's see the overloads instead. You want to keep Devil Precision on at all times. Rage of Flames at all times in Tomm and Zc. When you go in Crown of Caldegon, keep Rage of Flames for phase 1, and during the grappling switch it to the Dragon's Lair rank 2 for the extra damage against dragons. I'm telling you now since I figured I would do it anyways. In Crown of Caldegon, in P1, they're considered undead. In P2, the dragon is both dragon and undead. Valindra is undead. In phase 3, the phylactery is unknown type. I'm assuming construct or some shit. And in P4, the dragon is considered both dragon and undead. But the undead mark rank 2, like the undead overload rank 2, isn't working or was not working. I'm pretty sure it still doesn't work since it was bugged way back in the day, but if that ever changes, obviously you would want to run the undead one, but as long as it's bugged and the only one you can use is the 5%, then at that point obviously it's better to wear the 10% dragon. Poison Thorn, and one reason to wear it over Cursed Burn. So Poison Thorn does not crit when it procs off Heavy Slash. Meaning that the Cursed Burn crits off of it, and the damage itself from the Cursed Burn is slightly higher, but they are a very small percentage of your damage. So the reason why we're keeping Poison Thorn is because it can proc your Ban of Air, and that's pretty much the only reason why. Otherwise we would use the Cursed Burn, but that one cannot proc it, as far as I could see, at least. And then we have the recharge bonus for our bonus enchantment. We don't need any action points gain or whatever. We can already have dailies in between artifact phases. The action points gain is only useful if you can get extra dailies in over like a single run with it. It's not going to be worth it otherwise. And if you were to run Crown of Caldegon, switch to movement bonus, because trust me, you're going to need it. Moving on to powers. At-will, your main single target at-will is Heavy Slash, you're spammable basically. Reeve is the AoE / ranged at-will that you can use. Your encounters are going to be Bull Charge, Anvil, and Griffin's Wrath. Bull Charge is a killer thanks to momentum. You don't want to run Enduring Vengeance because its additive damage is really not that good. So you want to run Bull Charge together with momentum. It deals a lot of damage. The additional magnitude is actually more. I think about 380, but I'm not sure. The movement speed is just secondary. Nice to have, but that's not the reason why we run momentum. Anvil of Doom is paired with the feat Weight of Vengeance, which makes it way better and actually your best single target encounter. The other feat would be nice if it procced off Heavy Slash itself, but it doesn't. So we would need to run a different at-will on single target to proc it and then use Heavy Slash, and that would cause a damage loss. So that's why we don't. And Griffin's Wrath is actually better than Commander Strike, because as you can see the cooldown is lower and the damage is higher, almost twice as much. So the physical vulnerability that Commander Strike gives is also given by Wicked Reminder, so you can rely on that. If you were gonna help your group and you have no TR, you can also run it instead of Griffin or Bull Charge, but I wouldn't, like, unless your group needs it, I wouldn't do it, because it would be overkilling and just lowering your damage by a lot, especially in 5-man content. For your dailies, Mowdown is the go-to for single target, Archshaker is AoE. I keep Second Wind on just for shitty situations, but you should ideally never use it. Class features are 10% crit strike. This one relies on your stamina, just like 2 of your gear pieces, just like Tactician's Edge, and that's the reason why it's so important to have your stamina at 100% all the time, or at least above 75%. Then we have momentum, obviously. I already explained the first feat. The second one is completely useless on single target, but I went for the one that I use on AoE. And then this one is the feat that lets us regenerate vengeance, otherwise we would have to use our one every so often. And Striker's Mark removes the physical vulnerability from the target, so it removes the 10% debuff on the enemy for the group, but obviously you can use your daily towards the end of the artifact phase, so most people will have thrown their stuff, and then you can remove the debuff without causing any like major damage loss. Also because the debuff from like either Wicked Reminder or Commander Strike is additive to other debuffs, so it's not gonna make a huge difference, and you get additional 400 magnitude out of that. We have Executioner Cut for the last feat because we do not need Bloody Reprise. The damage coming from Executioner Cut might be like maybe 1-2%. It's not much really, but there's no use for the other feats, so you know, might as well. Campaign boons are all the offensive ones, and then I went for Demonic Mastery because I am not sure about this. I never tested it, but I thought I wouldn't want to miss out if it worked in P2 in Zerial. And obviously you want to have the Undead one if you're gonna run Crown of Caldegon. That's a must-have. Then I have Movement Speed and Lingering Medicine. Forte and Reacher Spit it is, and Bloodlust. Those, like, the Master Boon does not make a whole lot of difference. These are my guild boons, just in case you wanted to see them. And moving over to Companions. These are the pieces that come from Crown of Caldegon. You want to get them because of the higher item level, and this is the only one with 2 offensive stats, and the reason why I'm running it. Pseudo Dragon will be your summoned companion. This is a striker build, and the Pseudo Dragon on the fighter DPS is better than the Paranoid Delusion. Then these are my companion bonuses. So it's Minsk, Batiri, Wolfgar and Drizzt used together, and Alchemist. If you were to run Raptor, you would give up on Drizzt, because obviously if you're running Raptor, then you're switching to the 5% Squash Soup, and they have pretty much the same stats, the Squash Soup and Drizzt. And these are my other companions that I use to reach my stats. For the mounts instead, we are having Accuracy. If you go into Crown of Caldegon, you could also use Ferocity, because Cock is pretty much the only dungeon where Ferocity is pretty much constantly up. And I think for fighter DPS, the only dungeon where it's worth using Ferocity over Accuracy. Ferocity can also help you proc your Ban of Air, but that's, yeah. It depends, obviously. And these are my insignia bonuses. So I went for 3 Assassin Covenants, 1 Warlord, and 1 Artificer Persuasion, which is part of our rotation. You can see the insignias that I'm using, no need to explain those. And the colors are Crit Sev, Encounters, and the other 3 really don't matter. I use them on all my tunes, so I have the outgoing healing one, but that's about it. Okay, so I think that's it. I'm gonna explain the rotation real quick. So whenever you're approaching an artifact phase, what you want to do is like go in with one heavy slash like that. Okay, I had two, but like, yeah, ideally you would want to get your vengeance first. So let me just build up my vengeance. When you're going in a circle, like especially at the start of Tomm or Zc, you want to make sure that your vengeance is above 75% and your stamina is also high, because as you can see, when my stamina is low, like my stats are really low, but as soon as my stamina goes up, you will see how much I'm gaining, and that's what actually makes the difference. See, so that's the reason why you want to have your stamina top all the time. So now you can go in. Imagine we're going in right now. I use heavy slash, anvil, bull charge, artifacts, and a couple more of these, and then Griffin's Wrath, daily and TV, cancel them, and then these two again. I don't have the time to describe it perfectly, but you saw what I was doing. And I actually keep hitting whenever your whenever your encounters are off cooldown, you just use them right away. And you can easily see what the damage would be like. You can easily check your stats with dummies. Obviously, I just like killed him, so I can't see my stats. But let me see if I can respawn him real quick when the game stops freezing. Okay. So I want to try and get my stats up. I'm only using gas wheels for this, just to make sure that I get all my stats at maximum. That's pretty much what it looks like. Yeah, that's it. And with obviously tutor and runic aura, power and combat advantage would be capped. You can see what I'm using in my quick bar. Obviously, if you don't have an alliance battle horn, I would suggest you go for the hawk. Or the Lyra's Bell of Empowerment. But that's it, guys. So I hope this video helped you out. And you know, just the last thing to mention is, obviously, if you're going in cock, you want to use the Ancient Potion of Dragon Slaying, which is the cheap one. And Sambocade could be nice. The Ancient Scroll of Protection from Dragons could also be nice, but that's up to you how much sweaty you want to be. Scroll Fade Movement, they're so expensive, I would save them for speedruns, but it's up to whatever amount of money you have and you're willing to spend. So I hope you guys appreciated the video. I'm actually really happy with my stats and my setup right now, so I hope you can enjoy your fighters too. So have a good time with your fighters, and I'll see you the next time with some more like DPS builds. See you guys.